Good afternoon. Welcome into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, and joined as always by Mo Patton, and it is a beautiful Friday here, January 20th, as we are already halfway through the first month of 2023. Time flies when you're having fun, Mo.
That's what they say.
You wouldn't know you've never had fun? I bet it flies when you're on that cruise ship, don't it?
It does.
So there you go.
Good job, Justin. Yeah, it does. It's all too short.
So
Absolutely.
there you go.
Yes.
I guess the hypothesis has proven
There we
correct.
go. There we go. Yes.
Oh, man. Hope you guys are doing great and getting ready for a big weekend of sports. It is going to be a lot of fun here in and around Middle Tennessee, and we're getting you ready for it today. We'll talk to Pete Weber, talk a little PREDS here in just a few moments as they're coming back from last night's unfortunate performance out in St. Louis, but can bounce back this weekend. We'll talk about that. We've also got the former Tennessee Titan and most stylish principal in all of Middle Tennessee,
Dr.
Kevin
Dyson. Yes.
There's nobody better with that bow tie than Dr. Dyson. So Kevin Dyson will join us, talk a little Preds, talk a little Rand Carthen. Talk a little Titans. He might talk Preds. We don't know. Talk Titans and Rand Carthen, who was introduced today and spoke with media. So that was pretty big.
Probably talk a little playoffs as well.
Talk some playoffs and so much more. College hoops, big weekend as well. So all of that coming your way. But we also have a massive rundown. So we need to get you to yesterday's results, this weekend's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
Girls basketball action last night. Mount Pleasant 47, Hampshire 29, and Rossview edges Clarksville 40-39. In boys action, it was Antioch 49, Lee Huntsville out of Alabama 40. Mount Pleasant with a big win over Hampshire 81-24. Blackman 44, Laverne 24, and Rossview 63, Clarksville 31. Boys bowling action today. Yesterday was Columbia Academy 19-4 over Buchanan. Today, Columbia Academy down St. Benedict 13-10, and then followed that up with a state championship win for the Bulldogs, the Bowling Bulldogs. I like it. 12-11 winners over Friendship Christian to bring home that state title.
Women's basketball action from Thursday night. MTSU extended its winning streak to 13.
A bunch.
Yeah, a bunch with a 65-41 win over Charlotte. Tennessee with a 74-56 win over visiting Florida. Still undefeated in SEC play are the Lady Vols. Eastern Illinois 63, Tennessee State 58. Lipscomb with a 73-69 win over North Alabama. South Carolina doubled up, host Vanderbilt 96-48. Austin Peay with a 64-53 win over Central Arkansas. Trevecca defeated Northwood 80-69. The Lady Trojans and Karen Booker have a nice little run going as well. I think that's 6 straight for them. Campbellsville with an 80-55 win over Cumberland, and Lindsey Wilson defeats UT Southern 50-46.
Men's action, Middle Tennessee State with a big win at home over Charlotte, avenging that road loss 62-58 over the 49ers. It was Lipscomb 55, Eastern Kentucky 62. Don't know why that's flipped, but okay. Bellarmine 56, Austin Peay 45. Tennessee State down in Eastern Illinois 78-74. Northwood edges Trevecca 62-60. Campbellsville down to Cumberland 77-68. And UT Southern defeats Lindsey Wilson 77-73. In NHL action, as we mentioned earlier, the St. Louis Blues were a 5-2 winner over the Preds.
High school basketball doubleheader action tonight at 5:30. Merrill Hyde is at Knowledge Academies. All of these other games are at 6 o'clock unless otherwise noted. McGavick is at Beach. Christ Presbyterian goes across Old Hickory to Brentwood Academy. Laverne is at Cane Ridge. Cannon County hosts Westmoreland. Overton goes to Centennial. Cheatham County hosts Rossview. Springfield is at Clarksville. Clarksville Academy hosts Davidson Academy. West Creek goes to Clarksville Northeast. Kenwood is at Clarksville Northwest. Blackton is at Cookville. Dixon County hosts Henry County. Eagleville hosts Puntland. East Robertson hosts STEM Academy. Father Ryan goes to Ensworth. Nashville Christian is at Ezel Harding. Zion Christian is at Frank Hughes. Independence goes to Franklin. Columbia Academy travels to Franklin Road Academy. Donaldson Christian plays at Friendship Christian. Hendersonville goes to Gallatin. And Summertown is at Giles County.
Continuing doubleheader action, we've got Hume Fogg at Glencliff tonight. Wilson Central's at Green Hill. Hillsboro hosting Brentwood, and Hillwood is at home against Martin Luther King. Station Camp goes to Hunters Lane, and Hardin County goes to Lawrence County of Alabama in Moulton. Okay, that was a little confusing. Loretto is at Lewis County. Spring Hill goes to Lincoln County. Maplewood at home against Murfreesboro Central, and Lawrence County, Tennessee is at Marshall County in Lewisburg. So there you go. Providence Christian's at Middle Tennessee Christian. Liberty Creek goes to Montgomery Central. Mount Juliet at home against Lebanon. And Good Pasture is at Mount Juliet Christian. Riverside Christian is at Mount Pleasant. Columbia Central is at Nolensville. Portland at home against Greenbrier. Republic hosts Lead Academy. And Richland welcomes Culleoka.
Also, Siegel goes to Riverdale. Oakland is at Rockvale. Santa Fe hosts Collinwood. Smith County hosts Watertown. Smyrna goes to Stewart's Creek. East Nashville is at Stratford. Ravenwood plays at Summit. Fairview goes to Sycamore. Trousdale County hosts Joe Burns. Tullahoma hosts Page. Franklin Grace plays at University School of Nashville. Hampshire goes down to Wayne County. Harpeth plays at White House Heritage. And Pearl Cone is at White's Creek. On Saturday, doubleheader action beginning at 1 o'clock. McEwen comes to Santa Fe. Sparkman, Alabama hosts Ensworth in a doubleheader beginning at 4:30. At 5 o'clock, Livingston Academy is at Creekwood. At 6, Franklin Christian is at Columbia Academy. Also at 6, Clarksville Northwest goes out to Dyer County. And Cane Ridge is at Rockville.
Girls only action tonight. Lipscomb Academy at Harpeth Hall at 5:30, and Pope Prep is at St. Cecilia at 6. Tomorrow, girls only action. Tennessee Heat at Covenant Christian Academy in Alabama at 6 o'clock. Boys action only tonight. Lipscomb Academy will be at Montgomery Bell Academy, 7:30 tip. Boys only on Saturday. Franklin Classical at Upperman at 6. Woodford County, Kentucky at Beach at 7. And Clarksville Northeast at Arlington at 7:30.
College basketball doubleheader action this weekend. At 5 o'clock today, Fisk is at Southern New Orleans. At noon on Saturday, Fisk plays Wiley College. Also at noon, UT Southern plays at Campbellsville. Hillsdale is at Trevecca at 1. Cumberland is at Lindsey Wilson at 1. And Tennessee State is at Arkansas Little Rock at 1. All of those are doubleheaders. Women first, I assume. Junior college action out at the Web at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Cleveland State visits the Lady Chargers and the Chargers. Again, that's a 2 o'clock women's tip. Also at 2 o'clock up at Volunteer State, the Lady Pioneers and the Pioneers take on Chattanooga State. And on Sunday at noon, Fisk plays Rush College in a doubleheader.
It's really wild because they're playing at Southern.
So all those games are
they're playing clusters, and that's why they're playing three
games in a
row.
week. Okay.
So wild.
But everybody's playing 3 games.
Everybody's playing 3 games, so there's it's crazy,
yeah.
But it saves on travel.
Well, you'd rather go to New Orleans than have you been to Holly Springs, Mississippi?
To Rust?
Yes.
No, I have not been there.
I've been through there. Trust me, New Orleans is better.
We played Rust, but we hosted them at Huntington. So we did not have women's basketball action this weekend. Tonight, Belmont hosting Missouri State at the Curb, 6:30 ESPN Plus. All of these are on ESPN Plus unless otherwise noted. Saturday action, Middle Tennessee State hosts Louisiana Tech at 1 o'clock. Also at 1, Lipscomb is at Central Arkansas. Austin Peay goes to Tuna, the University of North Alabama, at 5 o'clock. On Sunday, Vanderbilt goes to Florida. That's a 1 o'clock tip on SEC Network Plus probably. And Belmont is hosting Southern Illinois on ESPN Plus at 2. Tennessee at Missouri. That's a 2 o'clock tip as well, also on SEC Network Likely Plus.
Men's basketball action this weekend. Vanderbilt goes to Stegman Coliseum to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. That's a 12 noon Central Time tip on SEC Network. On ESPN at 3, Tennessee is at the PMAC, the Pete Maravich Assembly Center, taking on the host Bayou Bengals of LSU. Again, that's a 3 o'clock start on ESPN. ESPN Plus, Belmont is at Bradley in the Valley. And at 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus also is Eastern Kentucky at Austin Peay. 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus, you've got MTSU down in Ruston against Louisiana Tech. And at 4 on ESPN Plus, you've got Bellarmine at Lipscomb. In the association this weekend, the Grizzlies tonight try to extend their win streak to a franchise record, 12 straight, as they go to the Forum out in Staples Center. Right? Is that what it is now? Yeah, okay.
It needs to be the Forum.
Yeah, right. They are playing the Lakers. That's a 9 o'clock tip on ESPN. And on Sunday, 7 o'clock on Valley Sports Southeast, the Grizzlies take on Phoenix, hopefully with a 12-game win streak.
It's also not Staples Center anymore. It's Crypto.com Arena.
Oh.
Showing our age.
Among other things. Tomorrow night, the Kings come to, this is still Bridgestone Arena, right?
As far as I know.
Okay.
We'll ask Pete later.
Yeah, we'll double check that. Taking on the Preds at 7 o'clock on Valley Sports South, and NFL postseason.
Arena.
Who knows? Saturday in NFL playoff action, the Jaguars are at Kansas City. That's a 3 o'clock kick on NBC, followed by the Giants and the Eagles at 7:15 on Fox. On Sunday, Bengals at Bills, 2 o'clock CBS, followed by Cowboys 49ers. That's a 5 o'clock kickoff on Fox, and that mercifully is your rundown.
Boys and Niners in the playoffs. Does it get better? That just feels right.
There is a certain individual who I know is a lifelong Cowboys fan until his son signed with the 49ers. And
That's
so
brutal.
I'm wondering how Benny Jennings is holding up.
he's struggling today, ain't he?
Yeah.
Oh man, Sunday's going to be rough for some folks, but it just those two teams playing in the playoffs. It just, again, for those of us who grew up
with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I'm excited. We'll talk NFL playoffs a little bit later as well. But our top story today, the Tennessee Titans, it was announced yesterday, they will host a home game in London at a stadium I can't pronounce. So
Tottenham.
Is it Tottenham?
Tottenham, I believe.
It's kind of like the ham is not really ham. It's and it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But the Titans
not stressing ham is very confusing for Southerners in particular.
Especially for someone from Birmingham. But, the Titans lose a home game in this deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what the trade-off is for that. If there's, what do the Titans get? I mean, do they get ticket sales from that game?
My guess is no.
So, I mean, I wonder how that all works.
I guess they get to at least pick which uniform they wear. I don't know. I mean, it's that's a fascinating question.
There can't be a whole lot of.
Hey, how do you replace a home game?
You can't.
Yeah.
There can't be a lot of positives for it either. I mean, you've got to go to London for one to play a football game, and the only good thing about it is for us fans, we get to wake up in the morning and watch football immediately. It's like an 8 a.m. kick or something.
And that's a good thing?
It is for me because I get to watch from start to finish. Or I can watch the game and actually have my whole day. I don't have to stop it in the middle of the day. Now,
I'm just going to tell you. The chances of me getting up at 8 o'clock to watch the Tennessee Titans or anybody else on Sunday morning are slim and none. And Slim just went out the door.
See, for me, I'm already up, so it is.
That's a difference. Now, if I were up, then it's easy to turn the TV on, but
it's got to be hard though. I mean, you can't crack open a cold one at 8:30 for kickoff.
Hey. Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, right?
That's what they say, and that's where I'm at. So it is interesting that that the Titans will have to host this game. Again, I don't know what their level of involvement is in this, but should be interesting. Tennessee has played overseas before. Did they play Jacksonville over there at one time?
I don't know if they played Jacksonville, but this is the first time they've gone over there since that San Diego game back in 2018.
San Diego, that might be it.
So
Jacksonville I feel like is always the team that has to go to London.
Well, I think the Bills are also going to be.
I think I heard that they're playing 5 games over there next year.
Is it 5? See, I remember seeing 4 teams. I thought there was the Bills and Titans and Jaguars will host games in the UK. The Chiefs and Patriots will be in Germany. Now, Germany had a great atmosphere last year. And that, going back to when the Galaxy was in Frankfurt, for NFL Europe, they always had a really good American football following. And I guess Germans, that makes sense. Germans seem like they would be American football style fans.
Big time. So apparently the Bills and the Titans will host regular season games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Chiefs and Patriots will both be in action in Germany. So there will be 5 international series matchups played during the 2023 campaign, with the Jaguars set to play their 10th game in London when they return to Wembley Stadium. Apparently they've got a multi-year commitment to playing in the UK, and I guess probably in Jacksonville they don't mind giving up home games.
I mean, that's at one time it was kind of rumored that they might move to London. Now that they've got a playoff team and Trevor Lawrence, maybe that talk has died down a little bit if folks start showing up for Jaguars games again.
Maybe.
But it is. How about that? Jacksonville with a multi-year deal to play in the UK.
It's an honor to be one of the teams representing the NFL abroad in 2023 and play a role in continuing the incredible growth our sport has seen in the UK. The atmosphere in London leading up to and at our game in 2018 was absolutely electric. Since then, we've remained in touch with our UK-based Titans fans, and they've grown into one of our most enthusiastic fan bases. Can't wait to see them again this upcoming season at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and know many of our fans here in Tennessee will be excited to make the trip as well. That's from Titans president and CEO and Franklin resident Burke Nihill.
We're going to London, y'all. Tighten up.
We needed it to be any more country.
It could not. It's almost like going to Franklin, Kentucky. Anyway, let's take a break. That's our top story. Titans going to London, y'all. And when we come back, Pete Weber joins us. Talk a little Preds right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today. It's presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton. Glad to be with you on this Friday, getting you ready for a weekend full of sports, including back at Bridgestone Arena are the Nashville Predators Not, honestly, over the last month, they've had a great month. Bound to have a bit of a letdown. You just hate that it happened in St. Louis, where you were trying to keep your half point or 1 point lead. I'm sorry, trying to build on that 1 point lead that you had over the Blues in the division. Instead, Blues get a 5-2 win, and now they lead in the division by a point. So, that's tough, but the Kings are in town this weekend, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as Pete Weber joins us. Pete, welcome in. How are you?
Thank you very much, and looking forward to this. Now, you talk about the football playoffs, and memories come back to me when they get started. 32 years ago today, I was in Orchard Park, New York, and the Bills beat the Raiders 51-3 to go to their first Super Bowl game. That was rather decisive.
That one did not go down to the wire, huh? Somebody had a lot of filling to do in that one, huh?
Yes, I can tell you about some people who had some filling to do in that. And then even waiting in the postgame show where our first guest was O.J. Simpson.
Oh, there you go. That's
I guess at the time that was a good guest to
Yes,
have.
it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And he was his usual self back then. And I know some people might not know what his usual self was, but he was always joking, talking about the game, talking about the players he loved watching. And among those he spoke of that day was Darryl Talley, who returned an interception for a touchdown in the first half.
Pete, before we get too deep into hockeydom, welcome back.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously you had some medical issues that needed dealing with here over the past few weeks, and those have been dealt with. And I know that anybody associated with the Predators or anybody in this town is really happy to know that you're on the mend and to see you back up and around and that kind of thing. So
glad to be doing that with you guys. And it was just 11 days ago where I was brought out of anesthesia in the morning. And I was shocked because I felt great for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
Well, we're glad that you feel great. I don't know. The timing does seem a little suspicious, Mo, that he was able to come back for a Buffalo game.
Yeah. And the next one on the list is another one of my former teams, the LA Kings, tomorrow night.
So I'm just saying.
Timing is everything, huh?
I told Max, I said, Max, you knew he was going to be in the booth for that Buffalo game.
For Buffalo. Yeah, for the Sabres.
He wasn't going to miss that.
Yeah, sorry. Nothing strictly business, Max. Yeah. Pete, again, the Predators getting back on home ice tomorrow night against the Kings after that trip last night up to St. Louis. They are now 6-4 for the month.
Yes.
Had that nice little road swing, but had a couple of I guess, toe stubs here of late.
Yes. And that last night certainly did qualify as that. They just didn't seem to have any, as the former president of the United States would say, vim or vigor as they were going after things there. They just looked like a tired group.
And I mean, that was what, their third game in 4 nights. I mean, maybe that it happens, doesn't it?
Yes, that accounts for that. Absolutely. But you still have to play the schedule you're presented with and find some way around those things. But they weren't able to do that last night. They did equalize the Blues in the first period with Colton Sisson's goal to tie the game at 1. But from there on out, it was almost like a nightmare.
Yeah, it didn't help that the first period goal was wiped away.
Yes.
And on goalie interference. And then, you get into the second and the wheels or skates just kind of fell off. But, when you look at this Predators team, and we've talked about it a number of times on this show, and how often their opponents tend to play in the Predators zone. UC Saros giving up 5 goals. I think this is his 3rd time.
Yeah, and so out of character for him to do. And aside from character, just his normal performance level. To beat him that frequently is a great accomplishment, really. And I guess I forgot I'm not wearing my hat on the air here. This is the first non-hat public appearance I have made since my surgery. So, when they cut into your cranium, you don't want to show too much out of all of that. But that's it's just not a Saros-like sort of night at all, because here he was. He named the All-Star game again, one of the for the Central Division, and I think that is more emblematic of his play this season than what happened last night.
Well, I mean, when you have a guy have 67 saves in a game like he did here not too long ago, I mean, again, every now and then he's going to show you that he's human, I guess. So.
Yes, and that humanity that he did not display that night, but made the people at MAPCO breathe easily, because on a home Predators game, if you have huge number of saves like that, they take the same amount of cents off a gallon of gas.
Oh,
so that would have cost them, I believe, 65 cents per gallon, and that's a pretty hefty sum right there.
Would have been nice
for home games, huh?
Yep, home games only.
Okay, got to keep an eye on that.
The Frosty deal works home or road. If they score 4 goals or more, you get a free Frosty,
regardless of where they score them. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So there you go, Preds fans. Keep that in mind if you didn't know.
Yeah, but to my question is,
yes,
how difficult does it have to be for UC Saros to continuously see 30 to 35 shots a night?
Well, it's kind of like what it was in the early days of the franchise, when either Mike Dunham or Thomas Volkun pretty regularly faced a volume of shots like that. And that's nothing that any goaltender really relishes, to be certain, though some goaltenders are not worth a darn unless they have a high volume of shots. That gets them going. But, it might get you going to the bathroom more than anything else.
It makes for a tough night.
Yes, it does.
Especially if you're not stopping said shots. So
right.
Yeah. Pete, how other than rest, do these Predators get back to what we've seen out of them in the early stages of this month when the Kings come in tomorrow night?
Well, the Kings are coming off an embarrassment last night themselves. They got defeated 4-0 by Dallas at home, and that doesn't sit too well with any player. So they're going to want to bounce back. The Predators are going to want to bounce back. That could be a great confluence of circumstances for the game tomorrow night and the fans going to it, because this should be a pitched battle.
Well, and I guess Nashville has played Los Angeles once this year, and
yes,
and I believe they beat the Kings.
Yes, they did.
But this does seem to be a team that the Kings coming in here that they feel like they're fighting for something too. Obviously, Western Conference playoffs are they're not set by any stretch of the imagination, so they've got an opportunity to the Predators have an opportunity to continue doing what they're doing and maybe get the Central Division 5 of the 8 teams in. would not be unprecedented. Has happened before, but you certainly have to. You can't overlook teams like Los Angeles who are fighting for that last playoff spot too, potentially.
Right, and you can't overlook anybody right now. All of the Predators games going down the stretch essentially are going to be playoff games to get into the playoffs. That's going to take a lot out of you, but that's why you get into this business to begin with, right? To contend. And I think that is going to make things a lot more fun. At least I hope it's going to make it a lot more fun, because then I can have a lot more fun talking about it.
There you go. Pete Weber, the voice of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Pete, this game tomorrow night's got some importance in that it's the first of a 4-game homestand. Now, that's a rather elongated homestand, I guess. You've got Winnipeg and the Devils coming to town next week, and then Vegas comes in here on the 7th. Is that right?
The 7th, that sounds right to me. Yes.
Okay. Now, anybody that knows me knows I'm not a big hockey fan, but it looks like the week of the 30th through the 6th, there's not a whole lot going on. What am I
All-Star.
missing here?
All-Star
All-Star.
All-Star
Okay.
time.
That's kind of what I figured. So it's not necessarily a 4-game homestand because you got the All-Star game
Right.
breaking this up. All right.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So, and coming at the end of January, the All-Star game annually it's a great break in the schedule, not only for the players, or at least the ones not selected to the game, but going on from there. The ones going to the game, well, that's another story, but they will have to be happy with the swag they get for going in.
And where is it this year, Pete?
South Florida. For the second time since the Predators have come in.
It's where you always want an all-star hockey game in South Florida.
It just makes sense, right?
Well, the first one we went to, Sheryl Crow was singing outside the arena, so that was fun.
We had Sheryl Crow sang on the Nashville New Year's Eve. That was pretty cool to watch.
Yes, it was.
What do you think about these our jerseys, Pete, with the teal and pink?
South Florida.
Yeah, that was the whole idea. The league this year has embraced throwback retros, or retro throwbacks, however they're phrasing them. And they figured they were just going to go back to the era of Miami Vice, maybe even get Don Johnson out there to wear those. And that's what they've done from there's a huge release I got sent from the league office a few weeks ago, and they mentioned Don Johnson in there. So who knows? Maybe he's a sponsor of this.
Maybe he's going to be dropping the ceremonial first puck or something like that. I mean,
good chance.
South Florida as they come, I guess.
I think so. Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. You know, this Predators team has a lot. You know, a lot of different fans will tell you. You know, David Poyle's got to go. John Hines has got to go. This, that, and the other. Look. The fact is, this Predators team has been kind of they're still trying to rebuild from a couple of years ago, and you know, obviously having re-signed Philip Forsberg, they're still trying to compete, Pete. But
yes.
What is this team's mindset? You know, for the rest of the year, is this a team that feels like, you know, we can get to the cup, or is it, you know, we just want to be in the hunt for the playoffs and try, and then once we get there, we'll take it from there?
Well, I think the goal of any player in the league is to play as many meaningful games as they possibly can. So if you get in that hunt, all those games become very meaningful, all very important to what they can possibly accomplish. And I think that is where the answer to your question lies. That's got to be the whole concept.
I mean, it makes sense. And just, you know, every time you get on social media, it's always doom and gloom. And I get that, you know, and you've been around this game for a long time. Is that something that happens in a fan base when you get to a Stanley Cup and then it seems like you just aren't anywhere near it over the next few years?
I've seen it in different cities, to be certain. And, you know, Los Angeles is one of those teams very similar to the Predators, but they won 2 cups and 2 cups in 3 years. And now they're trying to get back as well. So it's going to be curious to watch the two sides go at each other tomorrow night.
It's always fun. You see, when I was growing up, obviously Gretzky was played for LA.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that was kind of the America's team because Gretzky was America's player. He was, you know, he was the guy that everybody wanted to watch because he was and is the GOAT of all GOATs, if you ask me. So it's always interesting to watch the black and silver come into town, and they'll be there again, 7:00 puck drop. You can watch it on Bally, or you can listen on 102.5 The Game and hear the golden tones of Pete Weber. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
And Pete, did you happen to receive any news recently about any hardware you may receive in the near future?
Well, I got news that they were putting some hardware in my head, and then So I've got a shunt that's in my brain right now that wasn't there previously. But I guess you're probably talking about the National Sports Media Association.
I am, in fact. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Broadcaster of the Year.
So that'll be in June in Winston-Salem. And we'll go down there. And Willie Donick won it for we split that award, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
So we're going to be doing that in Winston-Salem. Head
You
on
may
down.
have a friend.
Yeah.
Winston-Salem.
That's right. That's right. Always fun to have a friend. I got to tell you.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be a nice little contingent over there.
It's always fun. And obviously last year with your counterpart.
Yes.
What is Terry doing these days, Pete?
Well, he made the
Anything?
trip to St. Louis. He was entertaining fans on that trip with dinner the night before. And then he is my medical interpreter. I had low pressure hydrocephalus. That's why they had to operate on me. Water on the brain, effectively. And he was telling people I had low pressure hydrocephalus. So that takes a different sort of treatment, obviously. And
Probably would have been less invasive, but
yeah.
you'll take what you can get, won't you?
Maurice, it's true. I heard him tell somebody that.
I have no doubt that it's true, and that's true crispy right there, right?
Yes, it is. Hydrocephalus, boys and girls.
Well, Pete, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we appreciate you taking some time with us today. We look forward to hearing you and are so glad to have you back.
Thank you, and I'm very happy you had me on here this afternoon. Thank you.
Talk to you soon, Pete.
No
Okay.
disrespect to Max Hurst. We do love listening to him too.
Oh, absolutely.
Pete's a
But
legend.
Pete's a legend.
So,
and I think Max knows.
I think
knows
Max
that.
understands.
Yeah, he gets it. He gets it.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, big weekend for college hoops, and so stick around. We'll talk a little college basketball. Still to come is Kevin Dyson, the doctor with the bow tie.
Dr. Dyson.
Always fun. We'll talk a little Titans later as well. So stick around on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Most 76 games is a pretty long streak. And a 76-game home win streak ended last night for the Zags as Loyola Marymount takes down the Bulldogs. And that's
76 straight conference games or
home
just home games against all comers. That's a lot.
It really is. And Mark Few has certainly this year has not been the year that the Zags would like to have had for a team that was pretty highly rated coming in. But sometimes it's okay to come in and not be the top overall seed. But you certainly didn't expect Gonzaga to be losing to Loyola Marymount the first time in 5 years. The last time they lost was literally 5 years and 1 day.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Lost 68-67 to Loyola Marymount, which improved to 14-7 on the year with the win.
Now, tell me something, because you'll remember Loyola Marymount had a pretty big – didn't they have something in the 80s?
It was the late 80s, specifically when they had Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball, and Paul Westhead was their coach, and they were scoring like 140 points a game. Yeah.
That's really, because it was funny, because I remember here at Loyola Chicago when Tennessee played them a few years ago with Sister Jean and all that, and I was like, Loyola Marymount's the only Loyola I knew of, and that's just because I had heard stories of that team particularly. But yeah, big win for Loyola, and tough loss for Gonzaga. But just goes to show, and I think it's important to note that the transfer portal does exist in basketball too. And sometimes when you've got some mid-major teams who are competing at a high level, you can see those teams rise to the top. And specifically in basketball, it does help, obviously that the tournament is 68 teams, and but have you been surprised recently, Mo, of how often we've seen some of these mid-major teams not necessarily be Cinderellas, but be kind of,
Be genuinely good.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a cumulative effect. I think the one and done versus the guys that have been able to stay together and that kind of thing have had a big impact on that. I think the transfer portal, we talked to Lenny Acuff at Lipscomb a few weeks ago, and they've had guys come in, they've had guys leave, that kind of thing. I think it's a lot easier for one guy or a couple of guys to make an impact in basketball when they're the right guys and when they're coming into the right situation. But at the same time, I also think that some of these mid-majors, when they've got a nucleus and then they get a guy, it makes them a little tougher to deal with. So it's fascinating to watch how some of those mixes come together. I don't nobody jumps out at me right off the top of my head just because I've not really paid as much attention to college basketball at that level to this point. I'm sure that here over the next 6 weeks or so, we'll all start getting a little bit more dialed in as we get toward the postseason. But I guess the word is parity. That's interesting.
I apologize.
Oh, Lord. Are you playing something in the background?
No, my computer decided to play something through the TV, so you couldn't hear it unless you heard it through our microphone.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah,
Well, good.
we could hear it, and it was very disturbing.
It was definitely, it got your attention for sure. Yeah.
But you're right. It is parity. And I think that's fantastic for college basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's what we really
I think
want.
it's fantastic for sports as a general rule, unless it's Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Then we don't want parity.
No, we don't want parity at all. But yeah, I think it's fun to see different teams be competitive and challenging and that type thing.
And the COVID year still making an impact in basketball as well. So, it's been fun to watch basketball over the last few years. College basketball has certainly, kind of flipped a little bit, but the Big 12 is still pretty impressive. The top to bottom, probably, easily the best league in the country. And, that one, it poses a threat to the SEC, but also it's an opportunity when the Big 12 SEC Challenge takes place in a couple of weeks. You know, that's a big event for the SEC. They can kind of stake some claim with a couple of wins in that one. Obviously, Tennessee beat Kansas earlier this year, to me, it seems like this is a big opportunity for the Southeastern Conference to kind of announce their presence with authority.
There you go. Yeah. Do we know what those matchups are? Or?
I know Tennessee, Texas. We do know what the matchups are. I just don't have them in front of me. Got to be careful typing SEC. Just ask. Just ask those TV news folks in Birmingham what championship Auburn won.
Oh goodness. Okay, so the SEC Big 12 Challenge or Big 12 SEC Challenge, depending on whether you're looking at secsports.com or the Big 12's website. January 28th. So, Alabama's at Oklahoma, Arkansas is at Baylor, Auburn is at West Virginia, Florida is at Kansas State. Man, Kansas at Kentucky, Texas Tech is at LSU, Ole Miss is at Oklahoma State, Texas Christian is at Mississippi State, Iowa State is at Missouri, and Texas is at Tennessee. So, again, you got 10 games. South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Georgia, and A&M, I guess, are not participating in the challenge from the SEC.
I like that Justin pulled up the Spanish Twitter account.
The only thing I could find, but it says it's just too small to see. I'm assuming.
I started reading, I was like, I don't understand what any of that says.
Yeah, it looks accurate, but it's just too small. So
I hear you. You know, it's tough.
Which game are you most?
Auburn, West Virginia, period. I think it's the most intriguing. One, Auburn on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Two, Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins and Bruce Pearl, two of the biggest personalities in the game. It'll be a lot of fun to watch those two coaches coach their teams. And Auburn's really good. West Virginia's pretty good. I'll be interested to see how that one plays out.
Unfortunately, I don't think many of these are great matchups.
I think some of them, yeah. Well, here's the thing: Alabama's going to drub Oklahoma.
Right.
They're going to absolutely destroy Oklahoma. I think LSU, Texas Tech is probably pretty good. Texas Tech's the worst team in the Big 12, but LSU
is not great.
1-7 in the SEC right now.
And Arkansas, Baylor might be decent.
I think Arkansas is really good though, so that's a problem too, right? Mississippi State will probably beat TCU pretty handily. And here's the thing, they get to do it in the hump. They don't have to go look at that stupid floor that Texas Christian has. Kansas, Kentucky would seemingly be a good matchup, but it's not.
It's not.
Unless Kentucky wins.
Well, unless Kentucky shoots, 15 of 16 from the line?
Yeah, exactly. And then Ole Miss, Oklahoma State seems like it'll be a decent matchup just because Oklahoma State and Ole Miss are comparable in the conference. But Auburn, West Virginia, to me, kicks off the whole thing, and it feels like it's the best matchup of them all.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas, Tennessee is going to be good, but I think Tennessee should win the game.
Especially in Knoxville. Of course, we said the same thing last Saturday. So,
but I am curious to see how that's going to play out for both the SEC and the Big 12, because I think, again, the Big 12 owns the series right now, 48-41, and this will be the last challenge we get. So it's ACC, SEC from here forward.
And you know what? I don't think that does as much for me.
I mean, maybe not. You're going to have to deal with Kansas. I mean, with Duke and North Carolina, and Florida State, who's been really good recently, and obviously Syracuse is in that bunch. Virginia's really good. Miami's been kind of decent in the last few years. There are some really good teams in the ACC. I mean, so it's going to be a struggle. But hey, the SEC, which the SEC has won the last two, and they tied in 1920. But if not for, if not for 7-3 and 13-14 and 7-3 and 15-16, this is equal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like these two matching up. I'll be interested to see how it goes with the ACC. This weekend, well, real quick before we get to the SEC schedule, Notre Dame head coach Mike Brady will step down at the end of the year.
Good catch. I saw that last night.
23 years at the helm in South Bend, winningest coach in school history. It's a pretty solid career.
It really is. It'll be interesting, I think, to see who succeeds him up there.
It's always interesting to see who succeeds someone at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
In any sport, really.
Well, I mean,
he looks like
it's
he
Notre
coach
Dame.
Another 20 years, though.
But you know what?
If you don't have to.
When you look like you could coach another 20 years, sometimes that's when it's time to get out. Because, I mean, you can go and still enjoy stuff that you've not had an opportunity to enjoy.
Come on. That's right. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear a good ding right there.
So, yeah, I mean, good for him. I ain't got to do this.
Exactly. Don't need the crap to deal with. Big day of SEC basketball. We kick it off at 11 o'clock on ESPN2 as Ole Miss goes to number 25 Arkansas. That's going to be not fun to watch. Just look, man, I hate it for Kermit, but they're not good. And Arkansas is pretty darn good. So watch out. And as long as they can keep their coach in line. Now that's not an easy task.
No,
it doesn't always happen. So if Eric Musselman gets out of hand, who knows? But I expect Arkansas to win this one handily. We talked Vanderbilt, Georgia. Vanderbilt at Georgia is a big game for Vanderbilt. Obviously, you mentioned yesterday, Liam
Robbins is out for at least a month, I think, with a lower body injury, I guess, foot, ankle, something of the sort.
They'll have to deal with a pretty solid tangent. Terry Roberts and Matt Moncrief, the forward for Georgia. He doesn't necessarily put up a whole bunch of big numbers on the points, but that dude is everywhere. 6'8", out of Toronto, playing at Georgia for whatever reason. And he is a matchup problem, especially if you don't have
Liam Robbins or someone like that.
So I think that's where folks you're gonna have to watch out. But
it's interesting what Mike White has been able to get done at Georgia after basically getting run out at Florida.
Yeah,
because they were getting ready to fire him.
I was about to say he almost didn't make it out of last year.
He was getting ready to get fired before he found something else.
And I don't know.
And the Todd Golden situation at Florida, I don't think has necessarily been great.
No, it hasn't. Florida's in disarray in a lot of places. But Georgia being 13-5 overall, I mean, look at that. That's 2 years ago. They were 6-26 in the SEC, or 6-26 overall, 1-17 in the SEC with Tom Crean. 2 years later, they're 13-5, 3-2 in the SEC, with a chance to make the conference tournament for the first time in forever.
Look at that tweet, though. When they were 6-26, they were 1-17 in the conference, and the one was over Alabama. Goodness gracious.
That is rough. Vanderbilt, obviously, they're not bad right now. They look really good at times. Can they get over the hump and get a win on the road?
Can they sustain something for a period of time? And again, with one of your key cogs out of action.
Excuse me. Texas A&M is at Kentucky, 1 o'clock on ESPN. If you want to go to that one, $47 to get in.
Why
I don't know why anybody want to go to see A&M play Kentucky, but
well, I don't know why anybody would want to go see A&M. Not real sure why anybody would want to see Kentucky. And so when you put the two of them together, thank you.
That just goes to show how important Kentucky basketball is. I mean, it's 100,000 people packed Neyland Stadium when Tennessee was terrible. So, I mean, that's
is
just
true.
part of it.
That is true.
South Carolina hosting the number 16 Auburn. That's on the SEC Network at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia.
Guarantee you one thing. Auburn won't overlook South Carolina.
No. Thanks to that win against Kentucky.
Right.
And this Auburn team is showing signs of being a really, really good team, probably a top 4 seed in the conference tournament, which will be huge because that gets you that double bye. And then Tennessee's at LSU. We talked about it's ESPN as well at 3:00. Tennessee, they need this win. I mean, they were able to get that road win at Mississippi State, but I think this game is bigger than even that one.
What's the basis for you thinking that?
Well, I mean, I know you're coming off that loss, right? So you kind of go, well, they really needed to bounce back against Mississippi State. So I think for
they needed to bounce back against Mississippi State, and they got the bounce back win, but they certainly weren't in command from the start. They need to go to LSU and just drop the hammer. I think from beginning to end, control this.
It would be nice.
And just, assert your will, basically. I think they need a game like that. And if Vescovy and Key are back, I kind of like their chances to do that against an LSU team that's lost 7 straight now in conference play.
So wild. I don't see a report that confirms Vescovy and Key are back. I think they probably will be.
Oh goodness. Looking at Caleb Giroux 16, who writes for the Daily Beacon. Apparently LSU is wearing their throwbacks tomorrow night with the cursive Louisiana State on top and bottom of the number. Yeah, it's sharp.
Is Shaq going to be in the building? Yeah, let's hope not.
I don't know if Shaq's going to be in the building. I don't know if Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf is going to be in the building or any of those other greats. But the unis are definitely going to be fire.
Let's take a look at them there. Those are sick.
Those are sweet, man.
Those are sick.
Hopefully they won't play up to their gear.
There you go. Alabama's at Missouri. That's a blowout waiting to happen. And then Florida, Mississippi State is a battle of mids.
I don't if Alabama goes into Como thinking it's a blowout waiting to happen, they might get got.
I just think there's a lot going on with that team. And
with Alabama?
And if they didn't lose at Vanderbilt, they're not losing at Missouri.
Take a better picture of their uniforms.
Oh,
I like this.
Yeah, the stars at the bottom of that left leg. Yeah.
Are those Pistol Pete era uniforms?
I don't know what the era it's. They're honoring the 78, 79.
No.
Yeah.
Man. That's good looking uniform. I don't care what you say.
They dotted the I's with stars.
Hey. Well done.
That's some sartorial splendor right there.
Exactly. Oh man. So yeah, big weekend of SEC basketball. That's your preview. We will talk a little more weekend sports as we are set to have Dr. Dyson join us here in just a moment. So stick around. Main Street Sports Days presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this.
This is that 78, 79 team with Durant. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Oh, is it Carthan or Carthon? I didn't hear the press conference, so I didn't know.
That's a good question.
Do you know, Justin?
What was the question?
Is it Carthan or Carthon?
It is. I'd only be guessing. I think it's Carthan.
I think it's Carthon.
I think it's Carthon too, but
because
I don't know.
I think I remember Maurice Carthon, who is Rand's dad, when he was with the Giants, among other people, and I think it was Carthon. Now, has he changed it? Because remember, Tony Dorsett became Tony Dorsett at a point. So I mean,
and I've actually, now that you mentioned that, I don't think I've heard his name said by anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
unfortunately, I couldn't watch the press conference. I wanted.
I guess they said it. Yeah.
Did you see they apparently videoed
his intro?
Amy's? Well, they did that, but they also videoed Amy's conversation with him on the phone when they offered him the job.
Do you happen to have that available on Twitter? I don't know if we can find it.
I do right here.
Can we play that? Because it's a really cool video.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. 1 second.
Look at you.
Not taking my phone calls? I just called you.
I was on the phone with my brother and I saw the Houston number. I was like, could this be? I was like, I don't want to get stuck.
Not taking my phone calls? I just called you.
I was on the phone
That's so
with my
good.
brother and I saw the Houston number. I was like, could this be? I was like, I don't want to get stuck talking to someone I don't want to talk to.
Hey, how do you feel about being the Titan general manager?
Oh, I would love to.
Well, we'd love to have you.
Oh my God, you got my heart beating right now.
Well, mine's beating too. Not taking my phone.
How cool is that?
I love these phone calls.
So genuine.
You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It wasn't a business call. It wasn't a, hi, Mr. Carthon, we'd like to offer you the position as general manager of the Tennessee Titans. No, it was a conversation and a fun conversation, and that's cool.
She was giddy. She was giddy to tell him. I love that.
And I think, kudos to the Titans for showing the public that Amy Adams drunk. I think. I think that's big.
She's always kind of been, yeah, show us that too. Because when he walks in the building, it's just, the eruption, which, by the way, that building is nice.
It is.
Every employee in the building.
Yeah.
Will say though, where's Mike Grable?
Honestly, like that's I think Vrabes certainly signed off on this. What I love about this is those two videos particularly showing a little bit of personality.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy is always kind of, when you see her on the sideline, she's kind of, she's always kind of moving around, talking to folks. She's not up in the booth,
insulated,
stoic,
right?
She's always kind of been among the, I guess the organization, but not necessarily the people. But showing a little bit of that personality is huge for both, not just Amy, but also for the Titans organization to kind of get you juiced up a little bit.
Yeah.
I got a little chill.
Me too.
Justin, go to TennesseeTitans.com
All right.
and grab that picture of Rand, Amy, and Vrabes, because people need to see this suit.
Gotcha. Pulling it up right now.
The suit that
Carthon is wearing.
Carthon's wearing?
Yeah.
Okay, so
This one?
Yes, that one right there. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. That one's gonna rival KD.
That is a nice suit.
the thing is, you kind of wish maybe the suit coat and slacks may have been navy with that color tie.
Little two-tone
little
action.
two-tone. But I do love the tie. That's a solid tie because it is that blue color there, and that's I'm a big fan of guys who, by the way, Rand Carthon younger than Tom Brady.
Isn't that wild? I saw a tweet that said my GM and my coach could beat up your GM and your coach.
Question. I mean, and I think that's kind of, again, mentality of this Tennessee Titans team is we're tough. We've got guys who understand the game because they've been around it. I loved what Teresa said. This guy's been studying, drafts since he was 5 years old.
Yes.
And it's so, this is the most excited I've been since the day they announced the Julio Jones sign.
Let's hope this works out better.
He can't go on the IR. So,
well, I think it's cool too because of how weary Titans fans are because of pickups like Julio Jones and them not working out and all that. So the fact that everybody's kind of rejoicing and putting that aside and getting so excited about this new addition is huge because every Titans fan's weary of picking up new people at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean you're a little gun shy at this point, and it's unfortunate. And again, I mean, we were as excited as anybody about Julio Jones, but it just didn't work. I don't know that it's anybody's fault. It just didn't work.
It did not. But that's okay. I do love this quote here. Rand Carthon on final roster say, I don't think it matters. It's collaborative. We won't agree all the time, but we will work through that. And I love that, he didn't say, we're not going to agree, but I'm the GM. They'll work through it. And that may be what he says privately. But the good thing is it seems like there's going to be a really collaborative effort.
Now, here's my thing. When you say that it seems like there's really going to be a collaborative effort, I don't know what the previous effort was.
Good question.
We'll see.
And I'm not casting any aspersions. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know where we are getting or why we are making the assumption that J-Rob and Vrabes were bumping heads.
I don't think they were bumping heads necessarily. But you're right. I mean, but we never heard the answer to that because I don't guess it was ever asked. Maybe it was.
Well,
but
I don't know what anybody would say if it was asked.
But why was it a talking point at all? If
it wasn't an issue.
Yes. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have our guest with us here, so we will go to him now as we talk to the
bow tie less.
No bow tie here, but he does have some swag on, and that is Dr. Kevin Dyson at principal at Centennial High School.
CCCHS.
So yeah. That's what he is, right? Why else we have him on the show?
Yes, Dr. Dyson. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I know you were kind of held up with some high school administrative duties there a little bit ago, but we appreciate you taking some time with us.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, man. Yes, you're right. Yes. I know you're a Franklin Rebel alum, but I'd like to be the best.
Well, so full disclosure, I am a Franklin alum, but both my kids graduated from Centennial. So
Yes, I do know that.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Your allegiance leads both.
Yeah, yeah. I've got some two-tone blue stuff at the house. So yeah. Kevin, wanted to get with you, man. Just to I don't know if you have any knowledge of, or if you've run across Grand Carthon or anything like that, but just kind of wanted to get your insight. Talking to former teammates and that kind of thing. What your read is on this developing situation with the Titans and the new general manager.
Well, what I like about him is he has.
Looks like we lost him. He should hopefully join here soon. Looks like his connection wasn't too great there.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's on his phone because our links don't work
And if he's
with WCS.edu.
Gotcha. I can get him to call in if
that's a problem.
Yeah,
if you want to
do that, that's fine.
That would
Okay,
be perfectly fine. We can throw up. Matter of fact, I'll get you his
slide
up.
Perfect.
Justin, I apologize for that, but yeah, there he is. He's back. We'll try him one more time.
There he is. Kevin, you were saying.
We go. Yeah. And
yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
And here you go. Okay, you got me. He's a football background. He's played. He watched his father play. He's been around the game. He's been around watching Lynch and the guys over there in San Francisco kind of run the program. He's a guy who has not been given anything easy. He's took the necessary steps to progress in each step of the way. And I like that. And I like that he comes from an organization that's had some success of recent, and not just of recent too. If you think about the 49ers, you're talking about success over a long period of time. Their peaks and valleys have been very little in regards to the National Football League, especially with the implementation.
I'm gonna give him a call real quick.
Yep, just give him a call. That'd be fine. Right. That's unfortunate, but again, we know what the Wi-Fi situation is like in that in WCS buildings. So
in the best school system in the state.
Yeah,
don't get me started.
I think that's one of the things that sold Amy Adams Strunk on him is his ability to draft late and to keep a franchise steady.
Yeah, he said the peaks and valleys haven't been there for that organization, and you see it for that team here in this postseason. They are playing their third quarterback of the year. And they're one win away from the NFC Championship game.
And did the same thing last year with, just kind of piecemealing it at the quarterback position in a quarterback-driven league. And, kind of makes you feel good if you're a Titans fan considering our quarterback situation over the last year.
Of course, now you got to have the right quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, and that's why he's here, right?
Yeah.
I know. He's trying to get back on with the video. Hopefully we can get that audio.
Yeah.
Justin, have you?
Hey Kevin, I sent you a text. If you'd like to join by phone, you are more than welcome to. All right, cool. I saw your text back, so we'll have him on shortly.
All right, we'll get him on via phone. It'll be a clear audio anyway. But it's huge. I mean, to have a guy who understands how to keep an NFL franchise from being too high and too low.
Right.
I mean,
you don't mind being too high.
Take a Super Bowl, but I would much rather. It's kind of the competition every year.
It's the old argument, that you have about the Braves and the Buffalo Bills and that kind of thing. Would you rather be in the hunt every year, or would you rather win one and then drop out of? Yeah, who would you rather be, the Braves or the Marlins?
And honestly, I'd rather be the Braves, even though the heartbreak is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
The heartbreak is brutal. But
you're saying there's a chance.
But there's always that chance
every year. So
That's where I'm at.
All right, we have Mr. Dyson on the line.
Doctor.
Dr. Dyson.
Dr. Dyson, my apologies.
It's all good. I appreciate it, though.
No, we appreciate you again, Kevin. And, John Glennon, who has covered the Titans for a pretty good while in various capacities, has an article up on SI.com regarding Ran Carthon's hiring as the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans. And he mentions, and Kevin, I'm going to read this. Heading into this offseason, the Titans were one of just 6 NFL teams, along with Dallas, Jacksonville, the LA Rams, New England, and New Orleans, who'd never hired a person of color as head coach or general manager, according to a 2021 USA Today survey. Kevin, how big is this from that aspect?
I appreciate you saying that, because that was evident to me. And when I saw the hire, it's hard as a African-American male who's also in a leadership position that's of rarity. There hasn't been a lot of people of my stature in a position like I'm in now. And I think that's one of the reasons why I chose this path, because it is a unique pathway. And it was noticeable as far as what the organization, and I'm talking about the organization that drafted me, the Titans or Oilers, that has never happened. I've known that, I've seen that. I was rooting for. It's hard for me to I gotta admit, I guess, to say I was rooting for Ran or anybody else just to get an opportunity. Not just because they're a person of color, but I was hoping they'd get somebody that was truly qualified and everything to do the good job, and felt like they can bring something else up there. But it's to see somebody get an opportunity with a football background, who has been around the game, father's been around the game, get an opportunity, man, it's hard not to get excited. And I think a lot of people, when I talked to them about it, shared similar sentiment. It's saddening that we're even having this conversation in 2023, that's even been part of the conversation. But it is what it is, to recognize that there are still franchises where there has not been given, a person of color has not been given an opportunity to lead. So I hope I wish nothing but success for him, white, black, or other. I want whoever it is to be successful and do things the right way, whatever that means. I know people have their version of what the right way is, and I just wish him a lot of success. And he seemingly is saying all the right things from my perspective. He had a good energy about him. You can tell he has a caring heart. It's not just another number. It's not just another athlete. I think he's out for the total athlete. Now, again, he's all saying this. Everybody says the right things in interviews, but you just hope that he kind of keeps some of the same sentiments. That's one thing from an outsider's perspective of looking at Lynch. He understood players. He understood the psyche of players. And his evaluation process was kind of made up of that understanding, having been a longtime player in this league. And so, I wish him a lot of success, man. And I appreciate you asking that question, because I'm happy for the opportunity for Ran.
Centennial Principal Dr. Kevin Dyson joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Kevin, as a former Tennessee Titan who still obviously keeps up with the situation down there, if you had 3 minutes with Ran Carthon, what is objective number one for him?
Ooh, man, I think you got to solidify up front, specifically the offensive line. I think you have to. I heard his comments, I read them about what he said about Tannehill and some others, but we all know this is the National Football League, and it's not just National Football League, but specifically National Football League. The NFL is biggest investment is the quarterback, and if you can't protect your quarterback, I don't care how good you are, he's going to be pretty average. So you got to be able to protect your investment. You got to be able to block up front, move the pile, help be able to have a solid run game. So I think that's got to be addressed immediately. You got to add some depth to some key positions. Receiver, secondary, linebacker is going to be addressed, obviously, with all the injuries they've had this year. I think you got to make sure Big Jeff is taken care of, whatever that means to them. Now I don't know if they feel like they can get better than Big Jeff, one of the best in the interior line. I think he was second team All-Pro this year. I don't know if you feel like you can get better than that. But I think, my opinion, there's not too many, if there are any, better than him in the middle of a defense. So I think you got to solidify him. And then he's also got to get to know players on the team current roster, get to know them, get to know what makes them tick, what motivates them, and get to know him and Vrabel. Just start having that conversation, that collaboration, start talking, start building on their relationship. So it doesn't seem to have that disconnect that whatever happened to him and JR, because when it first came about, they seemed to be in step. But obviously, if you go back to when the trade came with A.J. Brown, you can tell that relationship kind of took a different turn. And that collaboration piece, as everybody keeps throwing that word out, right? That collaboration piece seemed to go out the window at that very moment. And it became more about who makes the decision, whose team this is. I'm the boss. I make the decision. I pick the team. You coach the team. And that's what it seemed to turn into. So I'm hoping that Rand and Mike can build on a collaborative relationship, and put up a strong product. And truth be told, man, they've had some success last few years. These last 7-8 games aside, and that's of course what everybody has in mind. But if they can build on what they have in place, I think they can build something pretty special.
Kevin, as we look ahead to the playoffs this weekend, conference semifinals, Jaguars, Chiefs, Giants, Eagles, Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, 49ers. Obviously, Bengals, Bills kind of stands out to everybody with, how their last game ended. What are you looking forward to this weekend the most?
I'm going to tell you, Dallas and San Francisco is a hard game to pick. I think Dallas is playing pretty well. I think Dallas matches up very well with the 49ers. I know everybody's talking about that Niners defense and things like that, but I think Dallas poses some threats on the edges. They got two pretty good, solid running backs. The receivers are solid. Quarterback is playing well. Dak is playing as good as any quarterback in the league right now. On top of that, their defense is solid. They got one of the best pass rushers in the game. They got one of the better corners in the game. It's going to be a physical football game, a back and forth game. And then to me, when you got a pretty evenly matched game, which most of the time, most of the games are a lot like that. There's not too many blowouts at this point in the season. But when it's like that, it comes down to which quarterback plays the best a lot of times, who doesn't make the mistakes, who doesn't turn the ball over. That's when it comes down to. And it's hard to say just, we know Dak and he's a Pro Bowler. He's a guy who's had a lot of success in the league, and it's hard not to give him the nod. But the guy in San Francisco, considering he's Mr. Irrelevant or whatever you want to call him, he's playing well. The guys seem to believe in him. They have rallied around him. They all continue to build off of what he's done, and so that's an intriguing game to me. But at this point in the game, they all are. You just love football this time. And that's why it's all about just getting in that tournament. You just don't never know what's going to happen. And that's why I love playoff football or the NCAA tournament or the bowl games, because it just matter who shows up that day, man. It gives anybody can be anybody in the moment.
Certainly looking forward to this weekend in the NFL playoffs, and we appreciate you taking some time with us today, Dr. Dyson, and a permanent member of our crew here as your bobblehead sits on our set. Although you are down an arm in this bobblehead. You fell off the windowsill, and so just letting you know.
So if you got any extras, I can swing by Mallory Lane and pick one up.
I also
just let me know. I'll get you one. I have an extra one. I'll get you one.
I would like to tell you, Dr. Dyson, I grew up watching you, and I'm a huge, huge fan of yours. Just fangirling a little bit, and it's an honor to have you on the show. Just thought I really needed to say that.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin Dyson, Centennial Principal.
Y'all, man.
Thank you for coming on with us, Kevin. We'll catch up with you.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, let's look into the playoffs and make some picks. It's that time. Last week I went on a limb took the Jaguars. What will happen this week? Let's get into it. Jaguars at Chiefs, 3:30 NBC. Justin, you got any thoughts?
Oh man, okay, I'm conflicted. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just can't decide if I want the Jaguars to do well or not. But I'm gonna go Jaguars, just Cinderella story.
I almost want to take the Jaguars just based off of what the Titans were able to do, but I think it's the playoffs. The Chiefs have they've got that mojo, and the Arrowhead Stadium is a difference maker.
That's true.
You got the Chiefs.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I'm going with Kansas City as well. So
7:15 Fox, Giants, Eagles. What you thinking, Justin?
I think the Birds fly easily over the New York or the G-men easily.
See, speaking of games that really seem right, this is one of those games. The Giants, Eagles in the playoffs. I'm going Giants.
Okay,
look at you. You think Daniel Jones?
Giants, baby.
They were good to you last week. So
they were.
Yeah.
Hey man, there's a picture I saw of Daniel Jones. He looks swole.
Hey, let's go football Giants, baby.
There you go.
What you got?
I'm taking Philadelphia. I took Philadelphia to win to make it to the Super Bowl, so I'm still riding with it.
Bengals, Bills, 2:00 on CBS.
I am gonna go Bills because I will never pick the Bengals to do anything well. Just because I watched them ruin our lives, Titans fans last year in person. So I'm not using emotion though,
because I'm rooting for the neutral side.
So you're taking Buffalo? Okay.
Lamar.
I'm taking Buffalo because again I took them to the Super Bowl. So
watch Cincinnati win. That's gonna be so unfortunate.
Cowboys 49ers 5:30 on Fox, the nightcap.
I think
of course the 3:30 kick local time.
I'm definitely going 49ers. I think the Cowboys choke, to be honest.
Oh man.
I know they've beat teams by a lot, but they've also lost to teams by a lot.
I'm gonna go 49ers here. Home field.
Christian McCaffrey is a beast.
Dallas won on the road last week. Tampa Bay is not San Francisco, but I think the Cowboys exercised some demons with that win last week. I'm going Cowboys.
If they roll,
and I never thought I would.
Right.
But I'm going Cowboys.
Yeah, Dax seems to have found his groove, but he could lose it just as easy.
You're not wrong.
You never know.
You're not wrong. Yeah. So.
Well, there you go. That's our NFL playoff picks. This has been Main Street Sports Today. Big thanks to Pete Weber for joining us. Also, Dr. Kevin Dyson for taking some time with us today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We always appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday at 2:00 from 2 to 3:30. We know that you have plenty of options in the 2:00 hour for your sports talk, and we appreciate you for continuing to choose Main Street Sports today. Again, we'll be back on Monday with a reaction to all the things that happened this weekend, college hoops, NFL, and much, much more. Until then, we say,
ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.